thank you for having me. I'm gonna tell you a completely different story. That will be a story of invested institution, no research centers, no curators that would request anything digital. So this would be that will be, like a dream job, but this is not what happened and not happening in National Museum in Warsaw. So this presentation will be more about, I know, yeah, it'll be more about identifying problems and looking for solutions with very little resources. So let me start. I was working at the National Museum in Warsaw for a year and a half, and it was my first job, and it was mostly social media. It was social media and communication department, and it was quite frustrating job. Even though I had a full control over the social media like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, of course. Well, we didn't have any budget for technology, any budget for research, or any budget for innovations. And when I decided that I would like to maybe, some of the problems that we can identify in the museum, meaning like engaging audiences and how to make people to use our digital platform. We have the same digital repository with high resolution digital objects and with a very shitty interface. And how to make people just come to the museum more often. And we have this website that is very old and shitty and very poorly designed. But as everything at the museum, it takes about 3 to 4 years to redesign and make a public offer, then find someone who can actually do it. And there's like really like years to come to make everything. By everything I mean stuff like website or interfaces to change. So I was looking for quick and relatively easy to implement solutions that could help. First of all, get people more engaged with our collection, with our resources. Then to get people to find information more easily on our current exhibitions, on our just practical information, how to get to the museum, when it's open, when it's not, what are the free days, because every Tuesday at National Museum in Warsaw it's a free day, so you can visit our galleries for free. And I was looking for, as I said, I was looking for easy solutions, and came up with this idea of the hackathon. And I was like Stanley Kubrick of hackathon. So I did everything from the scratch till the end. So from fundraising money for it until now, because the project is actually still happening, and we are still implementing prototypes that were born during the hackathon. But I will talk about them. So, the hackathon, it was May 27, 28 this year. So it was a weekend, and luckily enough, it was just one specific time at the museum that there was a change of exhibitions, and there was one gallery that was free and with no paintings on the wall. so we could do the hackathon in the gallery inside of the museum. So I really wanted, from the start, I really wanted hackathon to take place inside the museum. I know that there's a practice of doing hackathons in some kind of, external spaces, but I thought at least the first one should be happening in the museum. Another problem that was with the museum is that if we luckily sometimes get any money to get, like an application or anything technological, or we want to rebuild a website or redesign a search engine or whatever, there is no community. There is no community around museum, like technological IT community, that we can just go to and ask for consulting, that we can ask for an advice, or just hire them to do something for us. And the problem is that there's a huge market, especially in Warsaw, and a lot of firms, startups, and people who do wonderful things, but we just don't know them, and they never come to museums. They're not really interested, as we thought. They're not really interested in cultural projects because they're not profitable. But so I was thinking maybe we can start to build that community. As Philo said, always hackathons is I think it's its main purpose is always to build a community. So this was our main aims when we started to think about how to put that together. So okay, sorry. So these were our challenges that we came up first, and these were publicly available at our websites, and we wanted people to really focus on building solutions, especially for those challenges. And in order to get more buzz around the hackathon, and to attract people and students, coders, and all the people who who are creative to come to museum and do this and spend 2 days with us, just coding and prototyping. I decided that we should go for artificial intelligence. So that was that was the buzzword for the hackathon. So the art and artificial intelligence and what we can do about it. And then I specified those 5 challenges. As I mentioned, how to encourage our social media users to interact with museums. It happens that we have almost 50,000 users at our Facebook page. So I think it was quite a lot, and a lot of crowds to actually do something with. Then again, how to make museum online resources available, and especially available and attractive to young audiences. Since we know that art historians and students, they know our repository. They use it for their own research or for their own work, but not really young people that we wanted to attract. By young, I mean 18, 25, maybe up to 30. And again, how to encourage people previously not interested in art to visit museum. How to help peoples and visitors to explore our collections, not only virtual one, but also the one inside the museum. And a very practical challenge, but it was a huge problem for us at the time. How to facilitate online ticket sales. Again, our ticket selling platform was shitty. There was no way to change it. So I was looking for a solution that would kind of go around that problem without doing a whole huge project about it. that I wasn't really in position to conduct or lead. And we decided to do a design thinking hackathon. So actually about 2 weeks before the actual event, we did this workshop in the museum, workshop with museum workers, so people from my team, from educational team, people from digital collections as well. And we asked them to think about our users and to start to think about them as personas. Personas we can use during the hackathon to help participants to actually, you know, empathize with user and have this real people that they can think about when they're designing their projects. So we made everything available, and at the introduction of the hackathon, we talked about these personas, and we encouraged people to actually pick one of them and design specifically for this one person in mind. So yes, it was just so that was the outcome of the workshop. Just you know, just simple sketching, nothing really fancy, but that was, but I think that was really enough. So we came up with this persona of a mother, of a young mom. She has some free time and she would like to spend a quality time with her kids and doing something fun, but also educational and something that, you know, she can. I'm not a mom, so I'm just really like inventing stuff right now. But you know, something nice, but like, you know, with that your kid can learn something new and just not necessarily that would require, I don't know, a lot of time and a lot of planning. And then there was a tourist from abroad, and there was he's not here, but there was also an older, about 60. His name was Tadeusz, and he was about 65, and he was really into arts and history. So. So as I said, the hackathon took place during the normal opening hours of the museum. So we also encourage people to just go and test, so talk to visitors and just also get inspired by our amazing galleries and you know, the paintings, and maybe do a little audience research if they would like to get some more insights. Some of them you know, use that opportunity, some of them not, but generally I think that you know, the whole environment and you know, the opportunity to be inside of the museum and be surrounded by art and the actual potential users of those solutions was, I can't stress enough how important it was for the whole success of the event. So I will talk about the projects that came out as those which we awarded. So there were 3. I will start from the third award. It is an application that is based on augmented reality. This new technology called R-Core that actually allows users with smartphones to just to scan the picture, the painting itself or the object itself without any markers, without any QR codes, because I knew again that there will be a huge problem for our our curators and for people who take care of the galleries, for them to allow any kind of QR codes and some kind of markers, and they just want to keep it very clean and simple, up to the point that you have in one of our biggest and most important galleries, which is 19th century Polish art, Polish masterpieces. You have only just simple artist, name of the painting and the technique, and there's really no context about the work. Again, this was this idea of art being unapproachable for people and people being afraid to actually go and come to the museum came from another research that we did with people. It was like corporate people, like young yuppies here in Warsaw, and we really wanted to attract those people because we knew that these are the people that are actually going a lot and doing and participating in the cultural offer of the city. But for some reasons, they are not coming to the museum. But they're very active, so they go to the concerts, other galleries, other museums, etc., but not ours. So it was based on focus interviews. So it was qualitative research, and the one, if you want to take just one simple outcome of that research, it was we feel that we are not educated, that we are not prepared to interact with art. Because we don't know the context, we don't understand why this is important, we don't know the people who are on the paintings, we don't know what's the style, why this is supposed to be so important, and just the whole idea of like not being educated and prepared. So this group actually came with an idea that we really like. It was the idea that just with your smartphone, with your own piece of device, and this smart hardcore technology that is actually becoming more and more available nowadays. It's still kind of high-tech in the sense that you need a good smartphone to be able to download the app, but it's obviously every year it's more devices are available that will support the hardcore. So they came up with the idea of just very simple context info, just based on text, and wherever you feel, if you walk around the gallery and you feel like there's a painting you would like to get more info about, but you don't necessarily want to go to Wikipedia and have an info that is not, it might not be correct, or you don't want to go through extensive Google search that would somehow distract this experience of being in a museum and experience of interacting with art. You can scan this particular painting, and you're gonna have those little markers, and there will be a curated points, curated content from museum, from our resources that would tell you just a small piece of information. There will be, sometimes there will be an anecdote about the artist, sometimes there will be an explanation about who's actually on the painting, why this person has been portrayed, or something about how this particular painting was created, just anything that can trigger your interest into the painting. And also using call to action language that would encourage you to look at the detail, to come closer, to pay attention to a certain spot that might be interested, that you might never really look at because it's just pretty hidden, or you just don't have any knowledge. I'm sorry, I was just like
yeah.
Okay, sorry. So this was one project, and the other one, it was based on this figure. It's called Steinczyk. It's one of the most famous paintings that we have in our collection by Matejko. Again, one of the probably most famous Polish painter. And one of the groups, as was put in challenge, they came up with the idea of chatbots, that the friendly chatbot that they built using ChatFuel. This is a free to use, not really open source, but free to use platform to create simple bots for Facebook. And so they actually built it during the hackathon and presented as some sort of a ready to use solution. And they did everything we really asked for. So they put they put this content that talking or interacting, I wouldn't really call it talking, that interacted with the bot. You can get any information about the newest events, and that actually would be categorized by what you're interested in. If you're a parent, you can go to the events that are specified for parents. Then if you're interested in meetings or maybe lectures, then there's gonna present just lectures or maybe guided walks, etc. The problem with our website, it was that we have this calendar and there's a massive amount of events in it, but it's really not it's not profiled, and you cannot really filter it properly, and it's just getting really confused about what you want to do, what's for whom, whether is it free, whether is it paid, etc. So we decided that this bot, using just really simple ChatFuel and very limited AI actually, because how you interact with it is through those buttons mostly. The problem that would be my dream, to build a bot that would be based on NLP, so natural language processing. But since this bot, because 95% of our users on Facebook are Polish, we would like to, we need to build this bot in Polish, and the support for NLP in Polish is still very poor, and you can do it, but it takes just a lot of time and energy to build that whole dictionary and teach the software to actually be very smart NLP. But I think that will be our goal for the future. So this is a prototype, but thankfully enough, there was a company that is it's a commercial company that usually builds bots for for other companies, like like Samsung or Volvo or wherever. And they build bots for a lot of money, and they're programmable bots. So this is not a limited version of such program as SCWAW, but bots that you can customize and that you can use for broadcast newsletters to actually actively gather leads from your users. By gathering leads, I mean you can send out messages, personalized messages, and this company just agreed to build this bot for free for us. So we are actually in a process of getting this was just a test version, and the next just to test it with users, and the next version will be built by them and just implement directly to our Facebook and I hope that our websites. And you know, it was just the idea of using just, you know, funny GIFs and remix art. Actually, this Jester, he's a very serious figure, but the team, they had a really nice graphic designer, so they came up with this idea of, you know, making them a little more approachable. And, oh, sorry. And the last project that won the hackathon was the project based on real AI, because there was a team, 3 members of the team. They are actually data scientists and they work for this company called DeepSense. They specialized in designing solutions for AI and object detection. So they came up with an idea. Oh, I forgot to mention that before hackathon we made available about 200 digital images in high resolution. So any team could use this repository. It was available in like JSON and through API. So it was ready to, you know, to do something with it. And they decided to actually play with it. And they used TensorFlow, the Google object detection API, and they put all of the images. They connect all the images with the Google Tensor algorithm that is actually very good and very well trained in detecting objects within a picture. It was trained with photography, but it actually it looked that it works very well with paintings as well. And so by doing this, they have been able to categorize. It was about 500 categories, but they went into 20 most important categories. But the outcome of this is that you can have all of your images, I mean unlimited amount of images tagged by, I don't know, by, as you see here, as a part of clothes, by gender, if there's a smile, if there's a cat, if there's a mustache, if there's an eye, if there's a, you know, landscape. There's like, as I said, there's like 500 categories that are available to tag your paintings with. And they came up with the idea of the game, and it's called the Hunt the Treasures inside a National Museum in Warsaw, and it was built for parents and kids. So you enter this application.
We have 10 minutes, and I would love to open the
floor
for
the
audience as well. So, I mean, it's a very difficult position because this is super interesting, but I guess you also might have some questions. So I have to be the mediator here. So, and also there's some, actually we have to leave at 8:30 simply. So, if you could just briefly tell us what the game is about, so we have the time.
Okay. So the idea is that you get details of the paintings, and the task for your kid would be to look for those paintings inside the museum. And after you finish, after you find, let's say, 12 or 15 details, and you get some sort of reward, and that will be the gamification mechanism. And the idea is that we are actually working on all of those 3 solutions right now. And I was supposed to talk about pains and roadblocks, and of course this is time, meaning I'm the only one coordinator and project manager for all of those 3 projects. So instead of, you know, doing these projects in a month or 2, you know, we are still working on it, and people have their own jobs, they have their own responsibilities. So it's really like taking a lot of time to, do the specific parts of the projects, and with money, which we don't have because I didn't thought about securing enough money for the actual implementation. We could hire people that they're missing in the teams. There's always someone missing. So within the data science team, you have wonderful coders and data science, but they don't have a front end, and they don't have anyone to actually UX and build the website. So this is a struggle, because I have to find people and convince them to work for free, voluntarily. And so this form of cooperation is not sustainable at all. And there's also a lot of unexpected situations, like right now we have at our museum, there was a change in power. There's a new director coming, and I wasn't able yet to get a meeting with him, but I hope that he will still support the idea of actually doing this project in a museum and giving them space to test it with actual visitors. But I'm not sure. So so this was because of the time and that and the idea that we couldn't do it as fast as we supposed to.
Speaking about time,
That's it.
we have about 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes to take questions. So do you guys have any questions that you would like to? Yeah.
Yeah. So I really wanted to come actually, but I couldn't. So I'm happy to hear it. I wonder who were the people who actually came to Canada? Like, were they mostly Polish and from Warsaw? Okay.
Yeah. We actually had, we prepared a travel grant from people outside Warsaw to come to Warsaw, but actually use it. I guess this idea of travel grants, it's still not very popular in Poland, so we were hoping that more people would come outside of Warsaw, but 85% of them was from here. I'm proud to say that we selected almost 50-50, so there was the same amount of women and men in teams, and we really wanted to have interdisciplinary teams. So I don't think there was any one team that will be just coders. We wanted some people with very different, with various competences and skills.
Did you plan on hiring people who prototype that project to implement it, or that wasn't the plan?
No, that was never the plan.
Any questions for Philip?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
How many developers or coders do you have at your museum?
So I'm half, because I'm half-time.
Okay.
Then there's my other colleague, he's half-time. And then we have two guys who are both 10 hours a week. I'm not sure if I would be the team lead, if I would make the same decision to hire two people for 10 hours a week, but I'm still happy to have them. So that's together, that's a 1.5 full-timer.
Okay.
Which I feel extremely grateful for. Like, it's not just in Warsaw that the National Museum doesn't have internal developer resources. Most museums, wherever in Europe, it's not very common. Yeah.
Are they all front-end developers?
Front-end and back-end, also, some of us are full stack.
We have none.
Any questions?
When are you planning, both of you, next hackathons soon, or sometime?
Yes, actually yes. The foundation that sponsored our first hackathon is still interested in cooperating with us and sponsor the next one. I'm just in the middle of deciding whether I want to do it in National Museum in Warsaw or maybe some other museum.
Maybe Slovakia.
Maybe Slovakia. No, because
Maybe there's a collaboration.
It would be really nice, but unfortunately, this is a Polish. It's a Polish business fund, so they want to support only, super Polish projects and stuff. Everything, everything now is super Polish, so we have to deal with it.
Still are you planning?
So we did two. I was part of one hackathon and I facilitated it. That was now 2 years ago, so I think it's time for another one. Yeah, we're not planning it, but yeah, we want to do it. It has come up in the team meeting, so
yeah, I think it's important to do it annually or on some sort of consistent frequency, so you can actually build something around it, and people can come and just know that there's always going to be some sort of event like this.
What were the rewards for the winning teams?
In our case, it was money.
How much?
For the first one, I think it was 5,000 and
Euro.
and the second prize was 3,000 zloty, and the very precious yearly passes to museum. So super fancy, and some gadgets. Yeah, it was moderate. Next time I would go for.
I think this is very, very, very good.
very generous. I
Yeah,
would say.
I think it's
You think
pretty high reward.
It's like
5,000 zloty. That's 1,000 euros. That's
Yeah.
very generous.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you can have
I did hackathon. I got like a food processor. That's like 200 euros.
But no, but this
A
is for the
sponsored
whole
food
team.
processor.
Yeah, just for
Yeah,
a
but
team.
how big is the team?
5 people.
But can
Yeah,
you be
come
one
on.
That's fine.
So maybe next year you're
I
gonna
don't
see this
know,
guy in
yeah.
a garbage box mask.
Okay, maybe that people.
The other day there was a
Let's team
hackathon.
up, guys.
The other day there was a hackathon
looking
with
for
the
graphic
prices, up to 100K.
for a bar?
No,
Yeah,
but please.
for a
Okay,
bank.
so there's different kinds of hackathons. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's hackathons that are like the commercial hackathons, and they're sponsored by Google, and they have a very different atmosphere. And they have pitches by company X and company Y and company this and company that. And you have free beer and pizza, and it's wonderful if that's what you like. But that's a very different kind of event than, by the sounds of it, what you guys were organizing. When you think about, hey, it's important that we are in the museum, surrounded by the art. Or it's important to think about inclusivity.
Yeah.
And so I have been really I actually, for those pop-a-thons, I charge money to participate.
Maybe
And I got heckled on Twitter, like, is this a hackathon? If it's a hackathon, then how come I need to pay money? You know? Yeah, that's like...
But also for the big companies, you're actually solving problems for them that they will use, and they will get rich of it. So they can give you 100K. Yeah. But we are solving problems for
It's cheap
cultural
R&D.
things.
Yeah.
But this is true, and this is people money attract nice coders and nice teams, and this is a rough truth.
That's true.
And
But then do you want to attract the coders who are attracted by money?
Yeah, but now
yes.
yes, there's a very, very tiny, like, you're a coder, I'm a coder, and that's basically all the creative coders that we have in is a few more? But really, it's like, the regular coders are already not enough, creative coder, that's like 1%. So, get money.
I think our reward tonight was this knowledge that you shared with us and your experience. So thanks so much.
What a wonderful reward.
And so thanks so much for joining. Thanks to all the people who have been here for the past 2 days for the lab. I think it's a very, I hope that the event that you organized also brought you some inspirations. And it's about the community. So I hope to see you at future events that we'll be organizing. Those of you who are from Warsaw, every 2 months more or less we organize a story called Warsaw Meetup. And for those who are not from Warsaw, we hope to see you next year.
This is a friend that I did the hackathon with, and she's sick, so she couldn't come. But I just wanted to honor her, Sylvia.
Okay.
And if you wanna read more about what we're doing, we are documenting it on Medium, both in Polish and English. This is English. So I encourage to read about those projects and progress.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, is it still recording, Martin? So I forgot to thank our sponsors, the Ministry of Culture and National Heritage, actually. Here,